All right, so good morning / afternoon, everybody. Welcome, everyone. So it's exactly noon and we have a lot to share today, so we're going to get started. My name is Caitlin Fielding and I'm a clinical support specialist with FAU CARD. All of us at FAU CARD would like to thank you for joining us today for this special event. Keeping our individuals with autism safe is one of our main priorities. We have invited a number of our partners from our other community organizations who also share this goal and work hard to promote safety in a variety of different ways amongst individuals with autism and related disabilities. Just a note, this is going to be recorded, so if you would like a recording, you could please reach out and we are happy to send it to you. Here's a quick overview of our agenda today. If you have any questions as our presenters are presenting, please type them in the chat box. We've reserved some time at the end for questions and answers. If you have any questions that are specific to a panelist, could you please address them by name so that we can use them at the end of the presentations to address those questions directly. This webinar again is being recorded, so this information, those of you who are not able to join or out there, we can send that over to you. So just a brief overview of FAU CARD. We are grant funded through the Florida Department of Education, and we provide free consultation, support, and training to individuals with autism, their family and friends and professionals and community members who support them. We service the 5-county region, including Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, Okeechobee, and Palm Beach counties. We do have 3 office locations, one on FAU Boca's campus, one on the FAU Jupiter campus, and one in Port St. Lucie on the Indian River State College campus. Since COVID, most of our clinicians have been working remotely utilizing online, which has allowed us to help support our families and professionals safely and more efficiently as well. So as stated before, if there's any questions that come up throughout the presentations, please type them in the chat box and there will be time at the end for a Q&A with our presenters. So without further ado, I'd like to present our first presenter. Jacqueline Wood, is she logged in? Okay, so Jackie is not logged in yet, so I'm going to skip ahead to our next presenter so we can keep this moving. But first, I'm going to thank our community partners, Butterfly Effects, Joe DiMaggio Children's Health Specialty Center, and Rouse Jewish Family Services for their continued support. And I'd like to introduce Molly McGinnis, the Vice President of Clinical Services for Butterfly Effects. So Molly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Can you let me know if you can hear me okay?
You're good.
Fantastic. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. So as you just heard, I am the Vice President of Clinical Services and Practice Development at Butterfly Effects. And we are a national organization providing home and center-based ABA services to families affected by autism. And I'm just really pleased to speak today. I had to really pull the presentation back because we could talk about this for hours likely. But I'm really pleased to talk about how do we use ABA or applied behavior analysis to maintain safety for individuals with autism spectrum disorders. So I'm going to be focusing on 3 main areas for today's presentation. One, a brief overview of what problem behaviors or unsafe behaviors are we looking at today, as well as the statistics in the autistic population, as well as going into then how do we assess it? You're going to hear me say a couple of times today, we have to assess before we move forward with treatment. If we don't assess and we just go right to treatment, you could have a bad treatment and you could make something worse. So you'll hear me say that multiple times. And then finally, how are we going to respond and treat unsafe behaviors with a focus on function and learning? So when I really was thinking about the presentation today, I was thinking about what are the areas that we hear are most concerning for families. So we really focus on the families, what their priorities and what their needs are. And a family living in a cul-de-sac and kids are riding bicycles outside, that might be a major area of concern for them. Or a family that has a pool in their backyard, that might be a major area of concern. So what you can see up here are some of the things that I was considering, and one being lunchtime behavior. I think we forget about this one sometimes. And lunchtime behavior can pose a risk of choking or a risk for, there's a high statistic of individuals on the autism spectrum that have significant allergies. And teaching children about the allergies that they have and what they should be on the lookout for might be very important. Riding our bikes, concerns for traffic and wearing protective equipment, crossing the street, walking on a busy road. You have issues with elopement and safety concerns there. And then finally, in an area, especially like South Florida, where we are in perpetual summer, pools and other bodies of water are very concerning for us as well. So when I'm looking at the problem behaviors, you can throw them all up there. I don't know who's manning the slides. These are the areas that we're really focused on. And what we did here is I pulled in these areas and the statistics on them from an article that was written in 2019. And these areas can cause injury to self or others, concerns by others in the community, as well as police involvement. And the statistics that are noted here are from this article that I was just referencing. And we know that the rates of these concerns are higher amongst those affected by autism spectrum disorders. So just to run through this very quickly, because I think it's impactful, is that self-injurious behavior or SIB is present in 33 to 71% of individuals affected with autism. Aggression, 7 to 56%. Elopement is noted as high as 49%, which is obviously one of our focuses today. Feeding problems, 25 to 34%, and then pica being 5 to 60%. I just think those numbers are impactful to know how important it is that we're focusing on these areas of concern. So next, we're going to just move into elopement, which is a primary concern. We hear about this from families all the time, that this is something they're worried about. Their child is eloping out of the school building. Their child is trying to get out of the house during the night. And they worry that they have to have their eyes on their child at all times. Those of you who are on this call that have children, you know that that is an impossibility. And if you have a child that does elope from the home, they are at risk, of course, of being injured, separated from their family, having police involvement, and death. So the severity of elopement, meaning the danger that can result from eloping in the environment, is variable. Sometimes you hear people, they call elopement and they're coming from their desk to the front of the classroom, and that is defined as elopement for that child. That's going to be much less dangerous, of course, than somebody who's leaving the home and wandering around the neighborhood for an hour. So 53% of caregivers, 53%, over half of caregivers have reported that their child has gone missing or been gone long enough to cause concern. And usually gone long enough to cause concerns mean they are calling the authorities at this point to get involved. And 65% have a consequence of an injury, a traffic injury, and 24% statistic for drowning. So again, I don't say these statistics to scare anyone. I think it just notes the severity and why we have to focus on this, which is why you guys all called this today. So knowing that these areas are of tremendous concern for caregivers and the statistics, well, now what? What do we do about it? And I'm saying it now, I think for the second time, first we must assess. Why is this happening? And I think that a lot of times caregivers or even service providers think, well, they're trying to get away from something, that's why they're running away. And you're going to see in some future slide that that might not be the case looking at the statistics. So it's important that any behavior, whether it is challenging, appropriate, it's a child with autism, it's your significant other, it is your neighbor, there is a function to the behavior that they are engaging in. And in ABA, we're really looking at 4 possible functions or the why. So function, think of why. Why am I engaging in this? And those 4 possible functions are accessing attention, accessing things, escaping, could be a person, could be a place, could be a noise, or automatic or sensory, meaning I like the way that it feels, is kind of putting it in the best layman's terms. So when we look at the research, so moving to the next slide, when we look at the research, we find that approximately half of kiddos' elopement is maintained by what we consider a social positive reinforcement. So I alluded to this before. Half is I want something. I want your attention. I want to engage in an activity. I want you to give me access to my iPad. I want a thing or attention from you. And only 25% is actually maintained by escaping from a demand, an activity, a person, a place. And like I said, I think this is a little bit of kind of a misconception, that's the word I'm looking for, is that they must be running away because they want to get away from something. And this is really key because without identifying this, you can't intervene. So moving to the next slide, I think this is the 3rd time now. So first we must identify the function, then we go in and develop the intervention. And oftentimes when you're looking at the intervention, you're going to be starting with functional communication training. So moving on to the next slide. And functional communication training is the process of teaching meaningful and functional communication to replace difficult behaviors that is socially appropriate. Many of our kids engage in challenging behavior because it's easier for them to engage in that behavior. And I always like to say, like, this is the same for all of us on this call. If we are upset or we are emotional, we aren't usually the best communicators in those moments. And we're going to go to what is easiest sometimes and maybe not what is right. So I always think behavior is communication. What is the function? What is the why? Okay, we can move one more now. Okay, so here are some examples, and I think there's some bullets up here that you can go ahead and put up. I'm sorry about that. So on this slide, you can see that there are many forms of communication that are going to be appropriate to accessing attention. It could be the less used shoulder tap, maybe right now during COVID. So tapping on your shoulder, waving your hand, using a picture exchange communication system. So I want to eat, I want to drink, I want to go outside. You can also see that you're looking at sign language and also vocal communication, saying vocally what it is that you want. And maybe an individual that has great vocal communication when everything is great and wonderful in the world, maybe they need to be going to the shoulder tap or the wave in times when they're emotional or having trouble communicating. So moving to the next slide, this is similar, just a little bit of a different twist is there are also ways to access escape appropriately. I'll just wait until we get caught up for just a moment. There we go. And there are many ways to do this as well. You can use a picture exchange communication system. So again, I really am mad and I need to get out of this. I might have difficulty saying to my mom, I'm really mad right now. I need to go away, or I need to go to my room and take a break. I might be able to tell you better by using a picture exchange card. Also requesting vocally that you want to break, using sign language again, and also just building in a schedule where you're just putting those breaks in. If you've assessed a child and you know that they tend to elope when they need a break from the task. So just to get down to our last kind of 2 slides here, because I think I'm probably running out of time a little bit, is don't forget we have to teach all of these things. So our kids on the autism spectrum, oftentimes we need to teach these things very very discreetly and individually for them versus just modeling and then they tend to pick it up. But we need to be teaching very specific water safety rules and general community safety. And this is not all of them, but I just threw some quick bullet points up here. Wearing your seatbelt. A lot of our kids don't want to wear their seatbelt in the car. So how can we set up contingencies for them? They're listening to their favorite song. You have different activities in the car for them to be wearing their seatbelt. Who community helpers are if they do get lost, if they need help in their community, who do I go to? I heard this one recently in a training and I loved it. Teaching a child, most of our kids now do have cell phones. They have great cell phones. How do you teach them to take a picture of where they are when they are lost and send it to you? And I thought this was a great practical idea of if they have difficulty going, I'm on the corner of First and Vine, they're probably going to have trouble saying that to you. Can they take a picture of just what's around them and send it to their person, their caregiver? How do I cross the street safely? Wearing protective equipment. This might include wearing a face covering right now in COVID. We have taught a lot of kids during COVID how to wear a face covering. Food and mealtime behaviors. Then your personal identification information, your name, your phone number, your address, some basics. And then kind of your other things just to keep, individual safe is ID bracelet, carrying an ID in a wallet, and air tags, which those of you who are Apple product users are great. And it is like a little tracking device. If you haven't looked at them, I encourage you to Google it. And you can also buy a little watch that goes with it. It doesn't look funky. It doesn't look weird. And you are able to wear those. And I think that's a great idea too, if you do have an individual that is engaging in elopement, that you are able to keep them safe and find them in those circumstances. So just to close us out, remember, identifying function is going to be critical to effective treatment. I thank you guys all for listening to me talk very quickly about this really important topic. And I am available and happy to answer any other questions, whether it's the end of this presentation or later. And my email address is molly.mcginnis@butterflyeffects.com if anybody would like to get in touch with me. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Molly. So I just wanted to point out that Dr. Scott was hoping to be here today, but he is in a law enforcement training and he was unable to attend, but he wishes he could be here, and he is sending the best to everybody and appreciates you all being here. Next, I would like to thank our partner again, Ruth and Norman Rails Jewish Family Services, for their continued support. Zippy was not able to be with us today, and she is from the Ruth and Norman Rails Jewish Family Services Special Needs Community Outreach. She would like me to read something on her behalf, and then I'm going to touch on her slides as well. Sorry I cannot be here today. The Ruth and Norman Rails Jewish Family Service Special Needs Department doesn't run specific programs for safety, but we are here to assist families that qualify for some financial assistance towards safety programs. They need to live in Boca del Rey, Highland Beach. If a child needs swim lessons so they are safe around water, if a child needs a location device or something of that nature, we can assist. JFS runs workshops on different topics, some around safety. I run support groups for parents, caregivers, and grandparents, and safety is something that is brought up often. I can assist with information and to find resources in the community that could benefit families. Thank you. So I'm just going to review her slides real quick about JFS. So they offer, like I said before, financial assistance, individual counseling, support groups, information and referral services. JFS Connect also offers adult special needs case management programs. They also offer financial assistance. So this is such as therapies, speech and physical occupational therapy, ABA services. They can help support with adaptive equipment, supportive shadows, swim lessons, respite care, camps, which include summer, winter, and spring, after school programs, emergency financial assistance, rent and utilities, and also other financial assistance as well. They also offer individual counseling with client in need of short-term counseling to assess if for longer term. They will also facilitate a transfer to a longer-term therapist. And with COVID-19, they have still kept up with clients via phone. So again, some of the support groups that they run, the parent and caregiver, they run weekly on Tuesdays from 10 to 11 a.m. via Zoom. They have a grandparent support group weekly on Fridays from 10:30 to 11:45. Again, these are meant to make connections, learn new resources and skills, and help support each other. Information and referral for housing, jobs, therapists, social activities, respite care, classes, schools, and resources on anything within outside the community. Jewish Abilities Alliance of South Palm Beach County's website and online resource guide is also located here. JFS Connect, the adult special needs case management, clients that are adults with developmental, intellectual, or physical disabilities or mental illness. A case manager is an independent contractor and they can work with helping support the adult with special needs. Information and referrals about available community resources they can help support, as well as helping access government benefits such as SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, and mid-waiver. They can assist in meal prep, housekeeping, and medication monitoring, and a variety of life skills such as transportation, social and personal skills, socialization. They can also help support voc rehabilitation assistance with finding a job, housing, money management, and anything a client may require. Therapeutic and Family Resource Center, the one-stop shop for families with special needs. So to meet all the families in one place, they provide a variety of affordable therapies such as speech, occupational therapy, behavioral, physical, and others. They will also include classroom space for any family support, and therapies will primarily serve children from the age birth to 22. However, all special needs services will continue to be available to all ages, open to the entire community. If you guys or anybody out there requires more information, here is Zippy's information. She is the special needs community liaison and community outreach worker. Here's her direct phone line as well as her email address. And she also asked us to play a short video.
In times like these, everything comes into perspective. Our focus has been shifted from what we thought was important to what truly matters most. As these challenging times make us more introspective, the things and people that we have taken for granted become unmistakable. We've been asked to move inside for the greater good. And as we do, we get a glimpse of the heroes who have been around us all along. These men and women are not wearing boots or capes, but instead gloves and masks. They're out there delivering food to those who can't leave their homes. They're connecting virtually with the vulnerable to provide insight, help, and community. They're offering a compassionate ear and direction for those who are searching for new jobs. They're restocking shelves and keeping seniors entertained. They're making sure bills are paid through programs and financial aid. Even though it feels like the world is spinning out of control, these people keep us moving in the right direction. They're putting themselves at risk to do what needs to be done, to give us the hope of a way forward. The truth is, the world has overlooked them for far too long, but we know that they aren't just essential, they are fundamental. To all of the courageous heroes fighting on the front line, know that you are seen, you are heard, and you are appreciated. We will do our best to protect you. We will stay inside and cheer you on from a distance. We will honor your efforts and support you. But perhaps the best thing we can say or do is to simply offer our gratitude. from the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you.
So we would like to thank our community partners. Again, Joe DiMaggio Children's Health Specialty Center. And with that, I would like to introduce our next presenter, Dr. Tamara Levine.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, my name is Tammy Levine. I'm one of the pediatric surgeons here at Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital in Hollywood, Florida. I'm with the Division of Pediatric General and Thoracic Surgery. And it is really with great pleasure that I join you today. And I thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about drowning and preventing the silent killer in autism. I have no financial disclosures. So we know that Florida has the highest incidence of drowning in the entire country. This incidence actually increased over COVID as we had more stay-at-home orders in effect, with more kids having more access to pools and spas and bodies of water, especially down here in Florida. We know that drowning is the #1 leading cause of death among children ages 1 to 4 years, and is the #1 cause of death among children with autism aged 14 years and younger. We know that kids with autism are 160 times more likely to die from a drowning compared to the general pediatric population. That's an astounding number. We know that there are about 1 death per day due to drowning, and kids with autism are a disproportionately high number of those deaths. Additionally, for kids who suffer from drowning but don't die, we know that many of them will suffer from long-term, lifelong brain injuries, limiting their ability to participate in normal routine activities and to function independently in the long run. Kids with autism are at a higher risk of drowning, we think, because of elopement. And as Molly indicated to us previously, oh, not ready yet, go back. Kids with autism do have a very, very high proportion of elopement, which can lead to access to water, to unsupervised access to water, with elevated drowning deaths. And it's been reported that 32% of parents of autistic children that do elope have had a close call with drowning. We know that the risk of elopement occurs at 4 times higher rates among autistic children compared to their unaffected siblings, leading to this increased risk of access to water in an unsupervised manner and to subsequent devastating outcomes. Okay, now I'm ready. So we know that the toddler years happen to be a particularly high time of drowning risk for children. This is, toddlers are just curious by nature. They see water, it shines, it ripples, it's attractive to them, it floats. You can float things on it. They can splash in water. So, water is very attractive to toddlers, especially to children with autism. They have a particular attraction to bodies of water. Sometimes it has that sensory that they need. Sometimes it provides a nice calming effect. And, many kids are wade into water basically because they want to touch it. They want to feel it. They want to play with the water. They want to feel that calming effect, and unfortunately find themselves in predicaments that are unsafe and that they can't get themselves out of. And we know that the biggest drowning threat is unsupervised access to water. Okay. It's for this reason that it's really paramount that we implement water safety and drowning prevention techniques, that we teach all children how to swim, because this is going to be the #1 skill that they can utilize in order to help prevent drowning. So the American Academy of Pediatrics, also known as the AAP, acknowledges the value of formal swim instruction, as they have pointed out that this is the #1 skill that people can possess in order to reduce preventable drowning, or the potential for preventable drowning. And we know that this is true for older children greater than 1 year of age, however, has not been proven for children less than 1 year of age. There's no real good evidence to support water survival skill courses for babies younger than 1 year of age. That being said, exposure and comfort starts at an early age, but the formal swim skills and instruction really should be pursued for children between the ages of 1 to 4 years. We know that the decision to enroll a child in swim lessons really depends on their developmental readiness and their exposure to the water. Now, it is important to note that even if a child does learn how to swim, and even if they're a good swimmer, that swim and swim instruction should never be viewed as drown proofing a child. We know that good swimmers can still drown and do still drown. So important that that they have swim and skill instructions, but they also have basic water safety measures that they know. Among these is to teach a child that they're never ever to swim alone, never to enter a body of water without somebody at least around who can help, or call for help if help is needed. They should always have a swim buddy or somebody with them, either in the water or around the water, making sure that they're watching the child. Additionally, people often think, oh, my kid has floaties, my kid has water wings, they're safe, they're protected. And the truth of the matter is that these are actually, these provide a false sense of swim security and actually are not means of helping to prevent a drowning or unfortunate outcome. I actually tell my patients to avoid inflatable swim aids such as floaties, so that this way they don't have that false sense of swim security. And if they do need a flotation device, if they're going out on a boat or something of that sort, they really should use a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket, and no substitute for that. So people always ask, well, my child is autistic, how do I really get them into the water? How do I get them swimming? Should I pursue this? And, we advocate that autism is really, it's not a reason to avoid swimming. In fact, for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, with the increased rates of death and elopement among autistic children, it's actually more of a reason to embrace swimming and to help promote swimming. And there are ways to offer autistic children with different strategies to learn how to swim and learn how to handle being in the water. There are classes that are geared for children with autism specifically, where there might be a lot of background noise and things like that are turned off or that are minimized during those swim periods when autistic children are in the water and are pursuing their swim lessons. We try to avoid announcements and stop having, noisy equipment and waves and other sort of sensory things that might be distracting to an autistic child or might stimulate them in ways that we want to try to avoid. It's also important that we have support from from staff and from caregivers, allowing caregivers to be present and available for the autistic children, to allow them to take them away to a quiet space. So there are certain strategies that we can use when teaching an autistic child how to swim. Next slide. The 4 reasons why all children, especially autistic children, should learn to swim. So one, as I mentioned before, autistic children love the water. They love to go to the water, and if they access the water in an unsupervised manner, they are at a higher risk of drowning and of having devastating outcomes potentially from being in the water. We know that knowing how to swim does decrease the risk if the autistic child does wander and find their way over to the water, and that swimming provides sensory stimulation for those children that are sensory seekers, but also may be helpful to help avoid sensory for children. They might find it calming to go underneath the water where they're not hearing all of the noise of the outside world and background noise that we all face every day. Swimming can also get autistic children into the public and into an environment in which they're not familiar, to something that's a little bit different for them, which might be advantageous as well. So one of the most important things to remember, though, is that many drownings are preventable, and really we have to focus on prevention, prevention, prevention. And one of the best ways to do this is to be able to install proper barriers, alarms, and covers for all pools and spas, basically to limit access or unsupervised access to bodies of water for all individuals. We know the pools can never be too secure, and the proper gates and covers to prevent access to the pools should be applied, and alarms can also be used in order to alert you if someone actually is able to enter the pool or the spa. This actually has been shown to potentially have the ability to prevent more than half of all swimming pool drownings, which is a really high number by taking pretty simple measures. Now, the pool fence that should be installed should be at least 4 feet high, and we have to make sure that we encompass all sides of the pool. So all 4 sides of the pool need to be completely enclosed. You also want to make sure that there's no opening that can allow for climbing or entry between, beneath, or through the pool gate. So typically it's recommended that the slats are less than 4 inches wide so that no child can gain access, despite having a pool fence in place. You want to make sure that pool gates open outwards from the pool and that they have a self-close and self-latch mechanism. And ideally that this is at a height that children can't reach. So it's recommended to be at least 54 inches high. Okay, next slide. Additionally, you want to completely separate a pool from the house so that you really can apply that pool gate completely around the entirety of the pool. You want to consider alarms on the gate to alert you if the pool gate is open, and you can also consider surface wave or underwater alarms as added protection if somebody is able to actually access the pool despite having a pool gate in place. You also want to consider having alarms at exit doors, windows, and don't forget pet doors that can lead out to the pool, as we know that there have been children that have actually gotten out to pools through any of these mechanisms. We want to make sure that all batteries and alarms are in good repair, and that if a gate is present, that the gate is appropriately locked at all times. What's really important also is to keep toys out of the pool area so you don't entice a child to enter the pool area. You really want to make it so that there's nothing there that's of interest to them other than the pool, of course. And as another precautionary thing, we want to make sure to empty all kiddie pools as well. People often think, oh, it's a kiddie pool, it's only a little bit of water in there, the child can't drown. And the truth is that a child can drown in as little as 1 to 2 inches of water, and the drownings can occur, within seconds to minutes. So make sure to get rid of all bodies of water that are accessible to any child. Additionally, it's important to remember to keep rescue equipment within arm's reach of the pool. You want to be able to grab something quickly to help somebody who's in trouble. So some devices that have been that I found to be helpful and advocate for are something called a shepherd's hook, or you can use any sort of device that you can use to help somebody grasp onto and pull them out of the water. Having a life preserver within reach of the pool is also another safety mechanism. You can throw somebody a life preserver they can grab onto and, hopefully bring them onto the surface if they're struggling in water that they can't stand in. And always make sure to have a portable phone, whether it's a landline or a cell phone within reach, so that if help is needed, help can be called for without having to go and go inside or leave the person who's in need. In 2008, Secretary of State Baker's granddaughter actually drowned in a spa as she became entrapped in the spa because of an abnormal drain cover, which wasn't acting effectively. And so there was a Pool and Spa Safety Act that was passed, which now requires all drain and covers in spas to be compliant with this act. This is really important because we know that the suction from the pool and the spa drains can be really strong and can trap swimmers. It can catch their hair, catch their bathing suits, catch other gear that they're wearing. And so by having an appropriately installed anti-entrapment drain cover, this can help prevent that from happening and prevent drownings as well. So really important to always check and make sure that, that they're not broken or missing drain covers in place when entering a pool or a spa. Additionally, we know that swimming pools, oceans, and bodies of water are among the most common places for accidents in which life-saving skills are needed, and fast action really can save a life. It's important that all parents, caregivers, and older children are familiar with CPR techniques and safe rescue techniques and can apply these techniques if they see somebody in trouble in the water. And the most important thing, as I mentioned, the #1 risk of drowning is unsupervised access to the water. So you want to make sure that you never, never, never leave a child unattended in or around the water. That's any body of water. That's a pool, a kiddie pool, a spa, a bathtub, even something like a toilet bowl. We know that children can fall into these, bathtubs and toilet bowls and can actually drown from those as well. So always try to keep locks on things and always make sure to keep supervision for all children when they're in or near any body of water. Additionally, a particularly susceptible period of time is in a large group setting when there's diffusion of responsibility. Somebody thinks, oh, there's plenty of adults here, somebody's watching the kids, when in fact, nobody's actually watching anybody that's in the water. And, we know that we've had drownings that have occurred during pool parties and during large family gatherings. So one way in which we really advocate for assigned supervision is by designating what we call a water watcher, which is basically a responsible adult who's going to be kept completely free of distractions and whose sole job is to ensure the safety of all swimmers when they're in the water. They really are the ones who are going to stand there and watch over the kids. And this really can and should be in addition to a lifeguard. A water watcher usually will wear either some sort of device, whether it's a badge, a whistle, a necklace, something that can identify them as the person who is the water watcher. First of all, it serves as a reminder to them that they've taken this obligation and that they are identified as the person who's responsible to watch the people who are in the water and call for help or provide help as needed. But it also reminds people who are around them that this person is to remain free of distractions, including no side chatter at the pool, no conversations off of their cell phone. And when their time is up, they should hand off whatever the device is that they're using that recognizes them as the designated water watcher to the next person. So that this way, everybody knows who that specific person should be. Okay, now I'm ready for the next one. Another method that I've actually often advocated for is also assigning a buddy badge or a buddy band. Basically, it's just another layer of accountability, having a child assigned to another child or to another adult where they can really watch each other, keep an eye on each other, and alert a water watcher or alert somebody if help is needed or if that child is no longer, in a safe situation. One thing that we oftentimes advocate is for our parents to engage our children in discussions about pool safety, swim safety, drowning prevention. There are lots of resources online. This was just from one website that I was able to find, just different activities and, making pool safety and water safety into a fun game, just to stimulate discussion and to engage children in learning about pool safety and water safety. So in summary, we know that drowning remains the '1 silent killer among children with autism. Knowing how to swim is the best skill to decrease the risk of drowning, but should never be seen as drown-proofing a child. Autistic children can and should be enrolled in swim lessons. We should all make sure to apply appropriate barriers and/or alarms to limit unsupervised access to water. Keep safety equipment nearby at all times and learn CPR or life-saving techniques. Assign a water watcher and consider a swim buddy. Avoid flotation devices unless it's a properly fitting US approved Coast Guard life vest, as I mentioned earlier. And make learning about water safety and drowning prevention a fun family activity. Go to the next slide. I think you have to click it again. So teaching children how to be safe around and in the water is not a luxury, it's really a necessity. Click. I don't know why it's acting funny, but that's okay. Just keep clicking. So we all have to be committed to water safety and drowning prevention. Your child's life or the life of another child may depend on it. And on the next slide, I just have a couple of resources that I found helpful and I think are easily accessible. We can learn more information on water safety, drowning prevention, and strategies to implement. And with that, I wanted to thank everybody for their attention today. Again, my name is Tammy Levine. I'm one of the pediatric surgeons at Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. Attached is my email address and my office phone number, and I'm happy to take any questions.
You build trust by saying, I'm going to do the best I can to take care of your child.
When you're taking care of that child, you're taking care of the whole family, and that's what we do here at Joe DiMaggio. To me, they're like angels. They saved my daughter's life.
Thank you, Dr. Levine. Our next presenter I would like to introduce is Deborah Dietz from the Disability Independence Group.
Hi, thank you for inviting me today. As you just heard, my name is Debbie Dietz, and I am the Executive Director of Disability Independence Group, or DIG for short. And DIG is a nonprofit.
Sorry. She froze. So I'm going to give it a second to see if it'll pop back up. Oh, there it goes. Okay, you're good. You froze.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I don't know where you stopped, so I'm just gonna keep going on. Today, I'm gonna tell you about one of the projects that we have at our organization, and it's called the Wallet Card Project. Perfect. And this project helps people with disabilities to safely disclose their disability to law enforcement. We make a custom wallet card, and we call it a communication tool that tells the officer information about the person with a disability. The information includes the person's name, their disability, and some basic characteristics about their disability, such as they may not make eye contact, they may need extra time to answer questions, or that they may be nervous and have trouble communicating. We also add an emergency contact name and phone number on the back of the card, and we can customize the card with custom statements about the person that could help law enforcement, such as someone that might flap their hands or someone that paces back and forth, or any other trait that is unique to that person with a disability. Now, for the project, we have two requirements, and this is for the safety of the person we're giving the card to. One is that the person must be 14 years old or older, meaning that they're basically out in the community without supervision. And the second is they must be able to communicate to say to an officer, can I show you my wallet card? And we have these two rules because, as I said, it's for the protection of the person with a disability. And we don't want someone that has a card reaching into their pocket or bag without first asking permission, because we don't want to take a really good idea and end up having a bad situation where law enforcement is assuming someone's reaching for a weapon or a gun when they're just reaching for their wallet card. Now, we know that there is the need to expand the project for children that are younger or people that are non-speaking or nonverbal, and we're actually working on that now. We just finished a survey to gather information of what the new card should be, and we're hoping to have the new card available and ready by January of 2022. We also have a police training that's available for police departments or law enforcement agencies. And this training will tell the officer what to do if someone hands them a wallet card. What is it? What should they do with it? Why does someone have it? And in your area, the Port St. Lucie Police Department has received this training and should be familiar with wallet cards. You can get more information about this project on our website, and you can order the cards on our website. We make the cards for free. We don't charge anybody to get a card, and we give the police training free to any department that wants it. And then we also have a video on our website that role plays and models how to safely use the card. So thank you so much for having me today. And if you have any questions, I'll be here at the end to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Our next presenter is Anna Stewart from the Drowning Prevention Coalition of Palm Beach County.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I just want to say to Dr. Levine from Joe DiMaggio that she did a great overview and gave some fantastic tips about drowning prevention. She pretty much did my job for me today. So thank you so much. But I just want to specifically talk about Palm Beach County drowning statistics. From 2016 to 2019, we had 194 drowning deaths. Adults ages 20 through 24 actually had the highest drowning rate based on population, followed by 75 and over, and then individuals from 45 to 54, and then children ages 1 through 4. We found that African Americans in Palm Beach County have the highest drowning rate based on population. And the majority of incidents of drownings happen in backyard swimming pools. And this is very important, obviously, for that age group of 1 to 4, followed by the ocean, and then motor vehicle crashes in bodies of water. So in essence, we average about 48 drowning deaths per year. Obviously, we live in subtropic, area. And so we get to use water recreation year round, and hence drownings happen year round. And I already mentioned the pools and the ocean, motor vehicle crashes. And seniors, we have to remember when we think of drowning, a lot of people just say, oh, children, children, children. But we have to remember that regardless of your age, race, gender, and socioeconomic background and swimming capability, everyone is susceptible to drowning. So it's not just a child issue. It's an everybody issue. So we need to remember that. Now, in terms of the Drowning Prevention Coalition, what we do is we educate Palm Beach County residents on the importance of water safety and drowning prevention. We provide free land-based and virtual water safety presentations to anybody willing to listen to us talk. So as of now, we go into the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools, businesses, homeowner associations, anybody who's willing to listen to us talk. We provide a free, engaging water safety presentation on the ABCDs of water safety and how to escape a sinking vehicle that goes into a body of water, which is a big fear that many adults have. We also disseminate our drowning prevention information at health and safety fairs. we just recently found out that we're now able to go in person to health and safety fairs. So we're super excited about that. And more importantly, we have a free reduced cost swim program that actually starts this Friday. And children ages 2 through 12 that are special needs automatically qualify for this program. So we want everybody to, get this information out to the public that our free swim program is available this Friday for children ages 2 through 12 and their immediate caregivers, because we find that a lot of adults and parents themselves do not know how to swim, and we don't want to forget about that. So they are eligible for swimming lessons as well. So on Friday, we're going to ask people to go to our website to submit an online application. And there are a myriad of aquatic facilities throughout Palm Beach County that offer swimming lessons. And I know Libby Moon from the YMCA is going to talk about swimming lessons at aquatic facilities. We are actually a government entity. We are funded by the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners and the Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County. And, why should we care about water safety and drowning prevention, particularly within the autism community? Well, I think Dr. Levine said it very eloquently, so I don't need to go over that. Next slide. And if you have any questions, my number is the 561-616-7068. And that is my email address. Myself and Bambi Fanto, who is the coordinator for the Drowning Prevention Coalition. She does a great job doing free presentations. So please, contact us and let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So with that, our next presenter is Libby Moon from the YMCA of South Palm Beach County.
There we go. I unmuted myself. All right. So thank you so much for having me. I am the Drowning Prevention Coordinator at the YMCA of South Palm Beach County. And let's talk about the Y. So at the Y, we do have Chase's Place, which is an after-school programming as well as camps for winter, spring, and summer. We also have fun days. That if there's a day off of school, then you're able to have your kid come. We also have swim lessons, and my apologies, I needed to take that out there. We are not able to provide respite care right now, but with all of our after school programming and camps and everything, registration is required in person. We also have adaptive aquatics. And so we provide swim lessons at our Boca YMCA and our Boynton YMCA. They are 1-to-1 ratio, one instructor, one student. And our instructors have had additional training in order to work with children with special needs. We also work with the Drowning Prevention Coalition and accept the vouchers that they do provide. And I will say, if you are a swimmer and you love swimming, we are hiring adaptive instructors. And so if you're ever interested, please let me know. And then next. All right. And so then I just wanted to just kind of touch bases on when you're looking for an aquatic facility and looking for swim lessons, just make sure that they do have, that the instructors do have adaptive aquatics training, as well as what the ratio is. And if you're comfortable with the ratio, whether it be 1-to-1, 1-to-3, et cetera. Also, if the facility is able to provide the proper assistance needed, whether it needing to have a chairlift or visual cards, a quiet space, and really truly communication with the parents is key, very much so. And so full disclosure, whether they had a negative experience, if they had a close to drowning, whether there's elopement or anything that would be considered vital is most important for that instructor and your child to have. So the picture on the right is a picture with me and my little Joko, and he was one of my nonverbal kiddos that we just received through the YUSA, the different charts and visual cards. And I was so excited to finally be able to communicate effectively with him. And so anyhow, I couldn't help but to share that picture. All right, and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Libby. Our next presenter is Deputy John Ledford from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me?
Yep.
My name is John Ledford. I'm a deputy with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I'm one of the person tracking device coordinators for our agency. One of the things I'd like to talk about also during the program is a day for autism, building bridges with law enforcement for the picnic we're going to sponsor in 2022. You may have known that we had one planned for 2021. However, due to certain circumstances, I'm not going to say COVID, but we had a situation where we had to cancel. But I do want to assure everybody out there listening, and I want to say thank you to Anna. Anna, I don't know if you could see my little device that I met you in person and have this. Drowning is near and dear to my heart. I have a 2-year-old autistic grandson, and I know the value of everything that we're talking about today. So yes, it is a very worthy program. For the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, I want you to know that all of our person tracking devices are compatible with the different companies that utilize tracking transmitters. Each of our districts have tracking devices, and PBSO has established district trainers in every one of our districts to teach the road patrol deputies as operators of this equipment. One of the other things I'd like to talk about is Silver Alert for Alzheimer's, but not just for Alzheimer's, but for other cognitive disorders as well. All of our deputies have what we call the Family Risk Guide that is available if they go out to a call of a missing child or even a missing senior. What we want to do is make sure they have this risk guide. That way they can properly place it with the pertinent information on their refrigerator as it should be. Have a current picture, have a current up-to-date transmitter frequency, making sure that everything jives. So once we arrive, we can immediately initiate a search if we don't find the person in the immediate vicinity. A little background on the upcoming event for this event for a partnership with the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, the Village of Wellington Parks and Rec, and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. This new event will be held on Sunday, February 27th, 2022 from 10 to 1. This is going to be a great opportunity for the autism community and law enforcement to sit down and have a meal together, play, and interact with games that include a bounce house and a trackless train. There's also a new event that we have that's going to also take in part for our caregivers as well as the children. It's going to include massage therapy, chiropractic services, and meditation. There will also be a touch a truck portion. When I got these notes and I said, touch a truck, and then they explains the value of actually the kids that touch a fire truck, a helicopter, a UPS truck, a police car, just to let them be familiar with their surroundings. God forbid if we have to deploy this equipment, they're not going to freak out and they understand the value of what's happening in this scenario. Again, it's going to be held Sunday, February 27th, 2022. And by the way, there is a new location. The location will not be held at the Wellington Community Center as before. We will be at the Pearson Park location in Wellington. November will be the official rollout for the event to the public as we're working on putting all of this together, including all of the vendors. This event is completely free and is paid for by the sponsorship. The goal here is to bring both communities, law enforcement and the autism community together. And that way we have a tighter bond and we're building that bridge, okay? Most of the time, we respond to a home for negative reasons. This event also gives a clarity for the children with us being in uniform that everything is going to be better and it's safe for them to approach us. We are very excited to be putting the event back on in motion. And we've had to cancel due to the COVID concerns, but we're right back ready to go. And we look forward to seeing everybody out there. Please go to YouTube and look at the 2019 event. And it's called Autism Building Bridges with Law Enforcement. It'll give you a really neat perspective on how well that project went. Thank you again for your time. And I do appreciate it, Caitlin, for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Ledford. Our next presenter is Jeff Hines, and he's from the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I don't have the PowerPoint. I didn't want to be, I got the information for you. That's where I'm going with this. But so the biggest thing that from the fire department standpoint is obviously the sounds of the trucks, the sounds of the smoke alarms. So from the fire safety side of it, if people can, test their smoke alarms in front of their kids, explain that that's the noise that it happens to be. And if they hear that noise, to get outside. Because a lot of times people don't hear that alarm, or we get that chirping noise when the batteries start to die in the middle of the night, but that's not what a full-blown smoke alarm or smoke detector sounds like. So definitely experience that with the people, make it go off, let them hear it, let them, understand what it is, explain to them how to get outside. If a person is nonverbal, it is recommended to maybe get a whistle or something. So, and explain that if that alarm goes off and they are not able to get outside, to blow that whistle so that it produces a sound, so that it makes it easier for emergency responders or firefighters to find them inside a house or building if they happen to be stuck inside. Right now, due to COVID, the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue stations are closed to the public, but it is recommended to take the child or the adult to the fire station so that they can see what the trucks sound like. It's a more intimate environment, if you want to call it, where the people can talk to the firefighters once they open up, hopefully one day, and say, can you kind of turn on the lights? And then you have the parent or the guardian or the adult or the handler, and then you have the fire department, and then you have the person that's on the spectrum, and you can gauge that where, all right, we're going to turn on a few lights, we're going to turn on more lights, play the sirens so that they're used to those sounds and there's noises so that they're comfortable with those. Creating a plan is also another great idea as far as an escape plan in the home, so that you can walk through that with the individual. And here again, even from the fire safety side, we say you should have a plan and practice it 2 times a year anyways with your family, just so people are aware of it. No different than the kids at school practice the drill. We're like robots as humans. Once we know what to do, it becomes kind of second nature. So back to create that plan, depending on where on the spectrum the person is, how detailed it is. It may need to be simple, where you hear the smoke detector and everyone gets down low and they get outside and they practice different doors. But to have that route, to have that plan ahead of time, whether it's drawn out or whether it's physically portrayed, or both, is the best, so that everyone's aware of it, so that if emergency does happen, everybody knows kind of where to go. And probably one of the most important things is, once you get outside, part of the plan is to have a meeting place out front of your house or your apartment, wherever you stay, that doesn't move. So a tree, a fence, a mailbox. But what's most important is to make sure that there's somebody assigned to that person, so that they don't try to run back inside to the house to maybe get something that they thought that they needed, or to make sure that they don't take off, meaning that they run down the street or they walk away and then you don't know where they are. So then when emergency help comes, it's like, we don't know where this person is, where maybe they just walk down the street. So definitely have somebody assigned to this person when you get outside, to make sure that they keep them where they need to be, so that they can be accounted for. So those are the main things. So just to kind of recap it, make sure that alarm, test that alarm, make that alarm go off so they're comfortable with that sound. Hopefully after COVID, you could stop by a fire station, make them familiar with, or if you're driving down the road and you see a fire truck drive by, explain at that point, here's what a fire truck looks like, here's what it sounds like, here's what it may look like if we're stuck at home. If they're nonverbal, get them a whistle, get them something, explain to them, if that alarm goes off, make a noise with this. Maybe show pictures. Even, I hate to defer to online, but online are pictures of what firefighters look like. Adults, kids, they get scared of firefighters because obviously they have all the gear on, they sound different, they look different. So make them aware that, if there's a fire, if there's an emergency, this is most likely what the person's going to look like, and teach them not to hide. With hiding prevents us from finding them quicker. And the event of a fire, we want to get people outside as fast as possible. So just familiarize them with the sights and the sounds, come up with a plan, and make sure somebody's responsible for them when you get outside.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
So last but not least, actually, we have one more after Oriana, is Oriana De Leon from Safe Kids Palm Beach County.
Hi, yes, I sent a quick message. I accidentally uploaded the wrong PowerPoint. Is it okay if I share my screen?
1 second. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to.
I can just sort of talk about it.
Sorry about that. It's in webinar mode.
Okay. So if you can just, you can leave it after this screen. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Oriana De Leon. I am the Injury Prevention Coordinator with Safe Kids Palm Beach County. You can, next slide, please. We are Safe Kids Palm Beach County. We are a program of community partners of South Florida, and we are funded through the Children's Services Council. Next slide. Okay, we'll keep it right here. So really what I wanted to share today, sorry, I accidentally sent them the wrong presentation, is that we focus on preventing injuries for children from 0 to 19 years old, as that is the #1 killer of children in the US, preventable injuries. So we focus on all kinds of preventions. Our programs focus on road safety, home safety, and sports and play. So anything that would keep your child safe. For road safety, we focus on child passenger safety, teen driving, pedestrian, bike, motorcycle, and distraction. Especially for a lot of the questions and concerns that we hear often in our program with children with autism is how to keep them safe in their car seats. So there are some options. If you have any questions in regards to that, please feel free to get in contact with us. Let me see here. We focus a lot on safe sleep as well. We give presentations on that topic often. Poison prevention, which is very, very important. Make sure that you store your household products out of reach and out of sight, not only out of reach, because if you put it in a place where it is out of reach, but if they can see it, they're going to find a way to get to it. So make sure you put all your cleaning products, personal care products, medicines, and vitamins in a place where it's completely out of reach and out of sight. Also, fire safety, like Jeff just mentioned, make sure your alarms are always up to date, and safety, and make sure they have the batteries, and also with the children, if you do have them, make sure to turn them on so they are aware of the sound and know what to do if that sound does go off. Okay, also water safety, we focus a lot on that. We give out a lot of information, which that is a topic that has been covered. We also share a lot of information in our Facebook page. We do presentations on a different topic every single month in Creole, Spanish, and English. So if there is any safety topic that you would like to learn more about in regards to how to keep your child safe on the roads, home safety, and sports and play, you can definitely go on there, find a lot of information. We also can provide safety kits if you are in need to baby-proof your home, you're in need of safety, baby-proofing things, or just making sure the house is all approved for children, reach out to us. And that is all I have for today. Yes, you can stick those. Sorry.
That's okay.
And you can just leave the last slide. That one. And here is where you can find us on Facebook, and you will find a lot of information as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Oriana. So I am going to circle back. We have Jacqueline Wood from FAU card on here, and she's just going to present a little bit about our safety initiatives that we have here at FAU card. So I apologize for the scroll, but. Okay.
All
Good job.
right. Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah.
And my apologies. I had some major internet connection issues in my office, so I've on a desktop. Hopefully, this will help. But so the idea was to kind of set up some information about individuals with autism and the safety risks that they are, the higher risks that they have. But a lot of this it sounds like you've covered this from a lot of our community partners, which is great. So, but we do know that individuals with autism are at a greater risk for injury due to characteristics that are associated with autism. So that might be sensory challenges or difficulty with communication, and being able to request to go somewhere or to have access to an item that they might prefer. We do see that many individuals are attracted to water, which puts them at a great risk. So talking about these safety resources and understanding the resources within our community is essential to keep our kids safe. Next slide, please. So in order to reduce these risks in the home, and I know Molly had talked about being aware of the problem and the possible reasons or the function for that behavior, looking at what the reason is behind the behavior, and then making a plan for that. So making a plan for emergencies before they happen proactively, so that if something does happen, we're prepared, we have a plan. Oftentimes, even with well laid out plans, when there's an emergency, it's frantic and it's difficult to even recall the simplest of information. So we want to make sure we have those plans, and we have written safety plans that are accessible to everyone in the family in case they need to call on those. Also looking at daily measures as well. So making environmental modifications, that might be using window and door alarms if the child leaves the house. It might be using visuals within the house, like stop signs on a door or a window that the individual likes to access. For in the kitchen, any unsafe, cupboards that are off limits, or the oven or the stove, using visuals so that the child knows that that's not accessible. And then also making sure that we're increasing and monitoring our supervision of our child. So whether that's in the house, knowing who at all times is responsible for that supervision, making sure that we're not distracted by cell phones, if we're out by the water, making sure that we understand, we're rotating those water watchers, that it's my turn to watch. And then in 20 minutes, I'm going to pass that on, but making sure that it's everybody in the environment, the caregivers know whose responsibility it is at that point. Okay, next slide. So we know that elopement and drowning is a big concern for individuals with autism. Unfortunately, we see that 10% of children who drown in Florida are children with autism. So this is a major concern. We want to make sure we have proactive measures put in place if the child does have a tendency to elope or wander. And so we want to make sure you're accessing behavioral services so that they can provide the support wherever we're seeing some of those challenging behaviors, whether it's in the home, in the school, in the community, so that they're teaching the child skills that they need to learn to either make requests or to keep themselves safe, and parents as well. We also have, we've discussed the electronic tracking devices in case of wandering elopement that can greatly decrease the amount of time that an individual is not located. And also making sure that you alert your child's school. So ensuring that if the child does elope or wander, or there's any safety concerns, requesting that a safety plan is created by the school team with parental input as well, and making sure that all staff members are aware of those safety concerns. And if the child does have an electronic tracking device, making sure that the school understands the capacities of it, and what to do if the child is missing, and the importance of calling 911 right away if they don't know where the child is. You know, regardless of, we'd rather find them on the playground than have them missing and have to search for an hour and put them at greater risk. So making sure that the communication with the school is there, and they know the device numbers and the process for getting help. And then understanding that risks vary across the lifespan for individuals with autism. So with children, we tend to see, we really need to make sure there's environmental safety. So supports to prevent wandering and elopement, being clear on bodies of water, teaching kids how to stay away from bodies of water and roadways, and also household risks and poisoning. So making sure that we've got child proofing, those items are not accessible to children. And then as they get a little bit older, we have concerns with bullying and internet safety, accessing the community, that might be transportation, using money, interacting with law enforcement, safe relationships, so interacting with others. We do know that individuals with developmental disabilities tend to be more vulnerable, having difficulty understanding other people's intentions, or realizing, you know, if it's a scam, or that somebody's, you know, if they're being lied to. Oftentimes, the individual wants to comply and make others happy, and will unfortunately kind of get involved in some of those, a scam or an unsafe situation. And also, as in adolescence and young adulthood, we do see mental health concerns that often become a comorbid or co-occurring condition along with autism, and ensuring that we're aware of the supports in our community, and noticing the signs to get support for that. So with this presentation and the panel today, we want to make sure that safety is always coming first. Making this kind of a special interest for your family, so that everybody's kind of on the same page, and making it a special interest of your child, really helping them to understand the safety measures and the importance of being safe, of, you know, staying with a caregiver or a parent, staying away from water, staying away from the road and unsafe situations. And also making sure that we're celebrating, you know, even small things on a daily basis. But if they requested to go outside, when usually they will run to the door, making sure we're taking the opportunity to really celebrate those safe behaviors. And knowing that, please know that FAU card is here to provide safety supports. So please, if you have any concerns, if you're registered and have a clinician, please contact your clinician. If not, you can contact our main line and we'll get you connected, because safety here at FAU card is our main priority. We do have a few resources that are available for families. The first one is we have these safety boxes that have a wide variety of different materials that promote safety across kind of all different areas. But those stop sign visuals that I had mentioned before, there are alerts, there are fireproof alerts for windows and doors in case of fire department response or police department. There are window and door alarms. There are a wealth of resources in here, and pretty much every topic, water safety. So if safety is a concern, please contact CARD and we can get you set up with a safety box. We also collaborate with Project Lifesaver International. So in Palm Beach County, we've worked with Project Lifesaver and PBSO to be able to provide families who meet financial criteria with a device free of charge. So If the child has shown that they are at an increased risk for elopement, and again, there's financial criteria, there's a need, we can provide those, do the training for the device, and provide a device for the family. If the family doesn't meet the financial criteria but is still in need of a device, we can also support getting the device, doing some of the training, and also providing ongoing materials, so the battery and strap replacement as needed as well. Some other resources we often do law enforcement and first responder training. We have a couple going on this week. We will bring in an international speaker who can come in and train entire departments. He's a former law enforcement and also has a son with autism, so he's got some great expertise. And it's a half-day training for those first responders. We also do shorter department trainings as needed. And then again, we discuss some of the community events that we have going on, but providing children and adults with autism opportunities to interact with first responders and community members, so that should they, should they find themselves in a situation where they do need to get the help of a police officer or of a firefighter, they're not as scared. They've had the interactions before, and they they've been trained on how to interact. Okay. And finally, I'll just wrap up that we do have training available. If wandering and elopement is a concern for your child, again, please do connect with FAU CARD. We're able to provide a short training for family members to minimize some of the risks, and finding supports for that.
Thank you, Jackie. That concludes all of our presenters for today. So if anybody has any questions, we're happy to have our presenters stay on for a little bit of time and answer any questions. Again, please address them directly so that we know who you're asking the question for, so that they can answer you. I'm just going to share the screen again real quick with the FAU CARD information. So if you or anybody know of someone that would benefit from FAU CARD, please use the contact information here. Again, FAU CARD serves the 5 county regions. So we're Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, Okeechobee, and Palm Beach County. So Belkis, you can reach out to the direct phone line, and then if there's a family that you know that needs a safety box or a device, the clinician will be assigned, and that way they can help serve them with a safety box or a device. Can you register your child in more than one county? So there's card centers that serve all of Florida. So it, depending on which county you live in, depends on which card center serves that individual. So like I said, we serve the 5-county region. Anyone south of us is Card or Nova, and then north and then west, they have some as well. It just depends on the zip code and the area that they live in, but they can be registered if they're in college in one area and they live home for the summer in another. So yes.
And Kimmy, I saw your question earlier. I don't know if you're referring to registering with CARD or Project Lifesaver. I do not believe that BSO uses Project Lifesaver. I don't think they have the equipment for that device. They use a different device called Safety Net. So they would, if you're in Broward County, you would need to register with them through Safety Net, and also contacting Nova Card would be a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for answering, Jackie. So there was a question about the armband and securing the bracelet for Project Lifesaver, and Jackie answered it through the text, through the chat box. They are secured with a removable strap that has to be cut off in order to be removed, and they are snapped on, so they are able to be replaced. But most of the time we like to tell parents that if you have a child that is going to try to take it on and off, try to maybe look at the ankle or somewhere where it's not as readily accessible for them to be bothered by it, or something that's not in an area where they're constantly going to be looking at it or fidgeting with it. Jackie, you want to answer that?
So Abby, it sounds like you're having trouble. You have a device and you're having trouble with that. I would contact your card clinician. If not, I will send you my phone number and you and I can maybe talk face to face so that we can get that figured out for you. No, we don't have a program with Safety Net because in Palm Beach County, PBSO uses the Project Lifesaver devices.
Stop the screen share.
No, Abby, this will work for your child. That's under Palm Beach County jurisdiction. So if you have Project Lifesaver, it will work.
You can remind her that we track both Safety Net and Project Lifesaver devices.
Thank you. That's helpful. So if you are somebody that travels, say, out of county, and your child has a Safety Net tracking device and they end up eloping, you can contact PBSO and they are able to track both Project Lifesaver and safety net devices.
That is correct, yes. As long as we have that frequency, we can track either one.
Perfect.
Excellent, thank you.
Still have a couple people logged in. If there's any more questions, feel free to put them in our chat box. We'll stay on for another couple minutes to help answer those questions. And if you all, anybody who's attended, knows somebody that would benefit from this training or this webinar, please feel free to let them know. All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Thank you for the panelists for joining in. And if you need anything further, please feel free to reach out to us. Have a great day.
Thank you.